Registered representatives offer securities through Securities America, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Financial advisors offer advisory services through Securities America Advisors, Inc. Forest Hills Financial, Inc. and Securities America are separate entities. This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steinler.
Good morning. Welcome to Keep Your Money Show. I'm Jamie Westenbarger, joined as always by Bart Steinler. It is my birthday weekend, Mr. Steinler.
Happy birthday, Jamie.
I'm 23 years old.
I almost started singing happy birthday, but I thought better of it.
Did you?
Yeah, I know we've been attracting quite a few listeners lately, and I didn't want to reverse that. I didn't want to reverse that trend. No.
Right. I was explaining to someone the other day how I have, really mastered the numbers. This is my 18th year in the business, yet I am only 23 years old, so that is a pretty awesome feat, if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, child prodigy there. As opposed to some of our clients that still use Prodigy as their email address.
Isn't that right, Mike? If you don't, that's an inside joke. Bart's brother uses Prodigy, which I didn't even know still existed until he emailed me one day, and his email was critical of my technology abilities, which I found extremely funny coming from someone who still uses Prodigy as his email provider.
And what was even funnier is that a couple weeks later I was talking to one of my clients, and they were telling me that they had a hard time downloading some of the stuff we had on the internet, and comes to find out that they had a dial-up service.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't even know that still existed.
I must specialize in clients with archaic technology.
I didn't know dial-up still existed. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That just blows my mind. Did they have the little CD they had to put in? Remember those CDs? AOL, get 500 minutes free. That's crazy. Well, hey, this is the Keeping Your Money Show where we cut through all the bulls, the booyahs, the bells, whistles, honks, and horns to get you to the information that actually helps you move towards retirement. You can find us all over the place on the web at keepingyourmoney.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter, or give us a call. 888-98-MONEY is the number. 888-986-6639. So I have to tell you a funny story about the phone number before we get into the show. So my wife, of course, went back to work a couple months ago.
Right.
So my son yesterday just says to me, "Hey, Dad, I was thinking about this the other day. If I get sick at school, I should probably have them call you. But I don't even know your office number off the top of my head. So if I didn't have my phone with me, do they have it in the office?" And I said, "Well, it's really easy, buddy. Just remember the 800 number. It's 888-98-MONEY. And he goes, "Well, how does that work?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Well, the numbers have 3 letters on there. How will it know which letter I want to dial?" Because he's thinking about it like texting.
Right.
In the old school texting, you would have to hit the number multiple times to get it to change to the letter. So in his 13-year-old mind, where texting supersedes everything, right?
Yep.
He could not figure out how you could tell the phone that when you press the 6, you want the M. And I said, no, it's just to help you remember the number. And it completely foreign concept to him. So it was kind of funny. But all right, today on the show, we're going to talk about parents. You do not have to pay your adult children's debts in their health plans. This is especially important if you still have one of those 20-somethings on your health plan. We're going to talk a lot about actually some of the issues we see with some of the younger people and maybe how obligated their parents feel towards them and how it could really be affecting their retirement overall. Some interesting kind of pieces of the tax law that's recently gone into effect. We're going to discuss how important it is this year especially to maybe be doing a little bit more tax planning than you have done in the past. There is another option when it comes to retire. Or to answer the question, can I retire? And maybe that answer is not yet. We're going to talk about options that are somewhere between maybe retiring and not retiring, and this is a great, interesting topic. There is a study out there that has been able to correlate debt with how dateable you are. So anyone out there that's single or maybe who has some some children that are in the dating pool, we can give you the numbers of when you become undateable, at least long term, to help you tamp down maybe some of that debt that's floating out there. So all that and more here on the Keeping Your Money Show. Of course, if you miss any part of the show, you can find it on our website. Just go to keepingyourmoney.com. You can also find it on all of the different podcast vehicles out there. Google Play Music, SoundCloud, YouTube, iTunes, and Stitcher. Just search for the Keeping Your Money Show, where you can subscribe to the podcast. So,
sounds good. You know, I like that article on the how dateable are you? I thought that was really fun. And I found out that except for the fact that I'm 63 years old and been married for 38 years.
You're really dateable?
I'm very dateable, except for those two items.
Except for those small but important issues.
Yeah.
So let's talk about health insurance. I mean, health insurance has been a huge topic in our country for probably the last 10 to 12 years, maybe even further back than that. Obviously, the passing of the Affordable Care Act, which some people would argue the name of it doesn't make a lot of sense to what its actual implementation has been. But there's a lot of changes that took place within that bill. And one of them was that children were able to stay on their parents' health insurance well into adulthood, up to age 25, actually, which, you know, that makes a big difference when you're young and starting out. But it also could potentially hamper maybe a little bit of that growing up that takes place. Because, I mean, I'm not that much older than that. I'm in my 40s. And, I mean, when I was 25, I was married and had a kid, and I had a career, and I had my own health insurance. Like, the idea of being on my mom's health insurance to age 25 is really an odd concept to me. But for kids that are growing up within this, it's kind of become the norm, right? And one of the things I think you would agree with, Bart, that we see a lot of is parents have almost had it thrust upon them that they are responsible for their children for a much longer period of time than what I think previous generations ever were considered to be responsible. We see a lot more 20-somethings living at home. We see them on the health insurance to age 25. And it's starting to kind of create maybe some issues for some of these people preparing for their retirement, because they're spending money maybe on a 24-year-old child that they should be spending on themselves.
Yeah. When I was growing up, and this is how it was in my household, and I think it was with most of the people my age, is that, you know, your parents helped you out as much as possible from, you know, when you were born to age 18. And you were probably, you know, considered around 13 or 14, you were supposed to start getting, you know, small jobs and earning a little of your own money. And then 18, if you were going to college, then 18 to 22 was kind of a transition period,
sure,
where your parents would kind of start to back out a little, and you'd take on more responsibility. And then by 22 on, you were pretty much on your own. And of course, there are exceptions. If a unusual circumstance happened, you had a major illness or something, of course, your parents were there for you. Of course. But the understanding was that if everything went normally, you know, by 22, you would be out of the house. You would be paying your own bills. You would be supporting yourself, and you would be on your own at that point. And that has changed so much. And what we see a lot of times is people who are getting close to retirement. They're 60, 65, 70 years old, and they are taking the money that they put away for retirement, which is maybe sufficient to get them through retirement, but not have a lot of extra there. And they're taking that money and taking out chunks of, you know, 15, 20, 25,000 at a time to help people, their children, who are quite able of going out and earning that money by getting jobs, but maybe not motivated enough to do so.
Well, and what's interesting is we've taken the availability of something to mean the inevitability of something, right? And what I mean by that is, can your child stay on your health insurance until age 26? Yes. Should they? Maybe not. Maybe your kid lives on their own. They have their own stuff. You know, there's in this article they talk about this woman who has lived away from home. She really doesn't need her parents' health insurance other than she's just on it because she can be. She turns 26, so they go out to look for health insurance, and they find that under the Affordable Care Act, she can sign up for a plan that only costs her $4 a month because she gets a premium subsidy because she doesn't make a lot of income because she's young. She's starting out.
Right.
The question is, how long were her parents paying a premium on that group plan to keep her on it when she could have been on her own plan? So sometimes just because something can be done doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And I think that's where we see parents a lot of times, we get this all the time. How much is the right amount to be contributing to my kid's education? Well, I don't know. Have you fully funded your retirement? No. Then the right amount's probably zero.
Yeah.
Because you need to fund your retirement, Are you on track to retire when you want to with the amount of money you have? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I am. Okay. Well, now let's talk about what's affordable for you to put away if you want to help with your child's college. Do you have to provide 4 years of undergrad and an MBA and all this? No, of course not. And I think there's been this change in culture where, I don't know why, but this generation of parents that are basically my age, like, they think they have to do everything for their kids, and it's to their own detriment. They're finding themselves in pretty precarious financial situations, all because they've put what their kids need above what they need. And I think a perfect example of that was NPR did a story on parents paying the medical bills of their children. And what's interesting is most parents don't even realize they're not responsible for that. If your kid is 18 or older and they go to the hospital or the doctor and they sign that form, the doctor may call you to ask for you to pay.
Probably will.
But you're not responsible for that. It does not affect you in any way, shape, or form. They are, even if they're on your group insurance from work, they are still an adult. They are responsible for their own, costs. I'll give you an example. My daughter had her wisdom teeth out here a couple months ago, and she's 18, almost 19. And the dentist office called, and they said, we're just calling to get payment for, her wisdom teeth. And I said, well, why are you calling me? Blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, I'm not the responsible party. Like, I chose to pay for it for her, but I didn't have to pay for it for her.
Right.
And I think that's the thing to remember.
And actually, that's probably something they should have set up in advance with you.
Right. Probably a good idea. All right, coming up, interesting pieces of the tax law are starting to kind of become more obvious. We're going to talk a little bit about why this year it's probably a really good idea to do more tax planning than maybe you have in the past, right here on the Keeping Your Money Show.